Good evening from Washington. I'm Doug Blair, filling in for Larry O'Connor on vacation. And let's talk a little bit about the elephant in the room. The Chinese Communist Party is probably spying on your kids. And if you're using this application, TikTok, they're probably spying on you too. A bill has been proposed by 3 members of Congress to possibly ban the application in the United States, but how well will that actually fix the problem? Will that be able to get rid of the Chinese influence in the tech sphere? And is it even possible for that bill to pass? Well, here to discuss that is Kara Frederick. Kara is the Director for Tech Policy Center at the Heritage Foundation. Kara, thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, anytime, Doug.
Absolutely. So let's start out with this bill. Tell us a little bit about what the proposal will be and whether or not it's likely to go forward.
Yeah, so this was a bill. There was one proposed in the Senate by Senator Rubio, and then a companion bill in the House proposed by Representative Mike Gallagher and a Democratic co-sponsor. And what it effectively does is it redoes what President Trump wanted to do initially with TikTok. So ban it from operating within the United States using a specific set of authorities called the International Emergency, the IEEPA, the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. And what it does is it uses that presidential authority, saying this is so much of an emergency that we're going to have to cease to allow this particular platform from operating in the U.S. And in that bill, it also has different countries like Iran, like Russia, and like North Korea, who are also in the technology game, so to speak, and
Sure.
frankly seeking to make sure that their digital platforms are spread across the world and gaining a foothold in places of their enemies, like the United States. TikTok thus far has been the most successful one, but this bill, this legislation in particular has attempted to redo what Trump wanted to do initially and hopefully gain some traction.
So, Kara, it sounds as if this is actually an existential threat, right? Like, conservatives get accused all the time of blowing this out of proportion. It's just a funny app where you watch people do dances and pretend to act, right? But it doesn't sound like it just stops there. This is like a dangerous national security thing.
Oh, and this is why I call TikTok a wolf in sheep's clothing. So it pretends to be just cute dance videos, like you said, to entertain the kids, sort of a take on what Vine used to be, short videos that allow people to lip sync lyrics as it was originally conceived. But no, it's harboring, it's a Chinese Communist Party surveillance app because of 3 different things. And first and foremost, it has a parent company called ByteDance, which is headquartered in Beijing. And ByteDance owns TikTok, clearly, or owns TikTok. And then when it comes to the National Intelligence Law from 2017, it basically says that private companies in China aren't private companies. They have to give up their information, access to data to the state, effectively. So this makes TikTok an arm of the state. And further, that third thing is ByteDance has active CCP members on their board. They have active CCP members working in this quote unquote private company, which we know through their law is not an actual private company. So TikTok, by virtue of all of these things, is a tool of the CCP and potentially will be a tool of the CCP, if not already.
Sure. So it sounds like the Chinese Communist Party has its hooks, its talons really dug into this particular app. What do the implications of that mean? So again, your kid thinks it's some app where they can send funny videos to their friends, they log in, they use it. What exactly is China getting out of this, and why is that so dangerous for them to have access to that information?
Yeah, there's a number of things. There's the hard cybersecurity aspect of it. So that's your access to your data. We know that Chinese engineers had access to TikTok data and have, frankly, for a long period of time, despite what the representatives of the company have said on the Hill. And then there's the more information environment, sort of propaganda, influence operations aspect. So we know that China has headlined pro-China narratives on the application itself. We know now through some recent reporting that it is effectively trying to sow discord. What 2016 was when that election season happened and everyone was saying, oh, the Russians are trying to sow discord on social media platforms. We know that TikTok is actually doing so through recent reports that they're favoring certain politicians over others and then favoring politicians on the other side and frankly seeking to incite strife on the platform. And because the youth of America are overwhelmingly on this platform and
Right.
more adults are getting their news from this platform, that's going to be pretty effective when it comes to our information diets that Americans are increasingly evincing right now.
Absolutely, and I think that that's so important to note too, is that for all the claims that the Russians were meddling in our elections and such that was pointed out to you by the Democrats, it doesn't really seem to have nearly as much attraction for them to call out the very clear political bias and the sort of propaganda engine that is coming from the Chinese Communist Party on this app. I guess as a follow-up question to that as well, are we seeing that there's a realization amongst people that were maybe not as engaged with this topic? Like the Democrats who were saying, oh, President Trump is a fascist who wants to ban this platform because he hates young people. Or are we seeing a change of heart now where they're starting to realize, oh no, this is actually genuinely an issue?
I do think that people were initially very reflexively anti-Trump. So when he tried to issue his executive order to do just this, and then when he was in negotiations with Oracle to eventually take over the platform, which failed when Biden came into office, I think people just saw this is a bumbling guy. We hate him, so we hate everything that he is attempting to do. And now I think, given Senator Mark Warner from Virginia, saying that yes, this is an actual threat. Beware of what your kids are doing. It's very important. You have the intelligence community actually saying this. You have FBI Christopher Wray actually saying this. So all of these are, certainly no friends of President Trump,
Right.
and they're kind of wising up to this. And Senator Hawley has been on this case for a long time. In 2019, he held a hearing. They invited TikTok. They didn't send a representative. There was a 60-minute episode 2 years ago to sort of be the breakout, which said, no, this is an actual national security threat. Now they had a new one talking about the vices on TikTok as compared to how virtuous the Chinese version Douyin is. So I think people are starting to wise up. They're sort of getting out of the mostly conservative circles and recognizing that this is a legitimate threat. And frankly, Gallagher's bill is bipartisan. So hopefully that is a harbinger of good things to come.
Kara, very quickly before we finish up here, I want to address an issue that I think you brought up a little bit earlier, which is that the Chinese version of this app is different than the American one, where you look at what the Chinese are allowing to circulate on the platform versus what the American one does. On the American one, as we've discussed, funny dances. On the Chinese one, it's like encouraging them to learn about Chinese history. Why do you think that they realize that that's like a good thing, that they have this particular vision for the TikTok platform in China? And what does it say about us as a country that we are allowing this kind of foreign influence to put this type of content in front of our children?
Yeah, so they're capturing the information environment, and they know that this is critical to, frankly, the warfare that they've been propagating in this information environment against the United States for a long time. They know that they have to win this arena effectively, and frankly, I think it's been working. And it's not just dance videos that Americans are seeing, right? It's social contagions. It's the fact that the Wall Street Journal reported last year that when children young girls went to the hospital for these tics that they were experiencing that randomly cropped up out of nowhere, what they had in common was they all followed influencers on TikTok with these particular
and it
tics.
all comes from that particular platform. Absolutely. And it's very, very dangerous, and I think it's important that we note that. Kara Frederick, thank you so much for your time. That was Kara Frederick, the Director of Tech Policy Center at the Heritage Foundation. More to come on O'Connor Tonight.